All right, guys. So color in InDesign. Guess what? Color's a bit quirky and weird in InDesign, much like adding pictures, much like most things in InDesign. I mean, InDesign's great. It just takes a bit of getting used to, and sometimes it's not that intuitive. And eventually, you'll realize that the reasons it does stuff in a certain way are good. But anyway, I'm waffling. What we're going to do is we're going to look at how to use color in InDesign. So let's start by saying, well, what if we wanted to change the color of this word, AI? So I'm just double clicking on it and selecting it. And my properties panel will give me an appearance option with fill and something called a stroke, which we're relatively unlikely to want to use, but I'll dip into that in a moment. So if I double click on this little T logo, I'll see some colors. The thing is that's a bit weird in InDesign is that it will start with some what are called swatches. They're like color presets, if you like, and there's not very many options. I could make it black. I could make it white, the same color of the paper. I could make it this very bright yellow, pink, etc. Blah blah blah. But you look, there's really not that many colors there. So um, you can come over into this tab here for color. But the problem that you'll find is that all that will do is allow you to make that particular shade a little bit brighter or a little bit darker. Not overly useful. Okay, another option is if I double click here on this text icon down here, for some reason it will give me a bigger color picker, but again works in this really quite strange way where, okay, so if I pick blue, it's now giving me an option to slide that up into pinks. If I pick uh, green, it's giving me an option to slide that up into yellows. It's just a bit strange. So I'm just gonna cancel that. And I'm gonna make sure my text is back to plain old black. Because I'm going to show you a different way that you can use and manage color in InDesign. And this is actually a super cool tool. So zooming out a bit with Control minus, I have a color picker down here, the eyedropper tool. Now, if I click on the eyedropper tool, that will select whatever color I click on. Oh, but a little bit of a something I didn't think of and didn't notice is that because I locked this layer, I mean the photo of the robot, you can see there's actually a little lock icon there. It can't pick a color from there because we've locked it down. So what I need to do is come over to Window and make sure my layers menu is back up and find that locked layer and unlock it by clicking here. Okay, that will let me pick out a color from this photo. So when I click on that eyedropper tool, um, it picks out a color from the photo. And if I click back on my black arrow, my selection tool up here, double click and highlight, I could um, apply a color by going to the eyedropper tool and picking it out like that. And using colors from your photos is generally a really good idea. It tends to um, ensure that there's a certain harmony. However, there's actually a much better tool hidden underneath your regular eyedropper. If I right click on the eyedropper tool, you'll see something called the color theme tool. And I do really like the color theme tool. So I right click on my eyedropper. I'm going to go to the color theme tool and I'm going to click here. And what it's doing is it's giving me a selection of colors based on the photograph that it's looking at. And so it's given me this nice um, array of blues. And then there's even some options, colorful, bright, dark, and muted, which will change those tones slightly, um, which is nice. And a really, really, really useful tool. In fact, if I just click with the color picker tool, basically like anywhere on the page, it should give me slightly different options. Oh, it's not for some reason. Okay. Well, we'll roll with what we've got for now. Um, Let me click off that. Try coming back to the color picker tool and going over here. So yeah, that is not what I want to do either. We should just ignore this bit of the video. Skip ahead. It's fine. So I've picked my colors out of my photograph, and you'll see this button here, which is add this theme to swatches. So I click on that, and then I'm going to go back to my window and color here, and I'm going to open up my swatches. So that little nice theme of colors is going to now appear. Just need to move this out of the way. At the bottom here, called Colorful Theme 2. I could rename that if I wanted to and call it AI Spread. And inside that folder, by clicking on that little triangle, I've now got the colors from that photograph. So now, with my selection tool, I can come back and I can come to my AI spread, and I can click on uh, any one of these colors, and I can set the text to those colors. And the thing that's nice about doing that is they're colors straight from the picture, so they're basically always going to match. Um, but maybe I need something with a bit more of a pop of color here, and I'm thinking like perhaps for the stem first, I do actually need to find a color using this slightly awkward color picker tool, which is down in the bottom right hand corner. I'm thinking orange kind of could go nicely with these blues. Um, so I've found something that I think maybe around here. Um, and I want to add this to my swatches. There's add CMYK swatch here, and I can click on that and click OK. And so that color now also appears here in my list of swatches. So the color picker tool, the color theme tool will create a whole theme in a folder. But if I also pick my own color out using here and add it to my swatches, it will then save that as like a little preset that I can use. So I can start thinking about how I want to play with color here and see what I think works. Again, this isn't a masterpiece, but I could come back to it later and get it to look even better, I'm sure. It's all about just building it up as you go along. All right, on to the next tutorial.